So as I struggled this week with what I was going to talk about, I had my initial theme, and then I was hitting a little writer's block. And I was led to the phrase that we've all, I'm sure, heard, when one door closes, another one opens. And I'm sure we've all used that many times. And it obviously can mean more than one thing if we hear that song. You know, we can break through the door, I guess. So, I originally was thinking about life balance. And it's something that has meant a lot to me, and I've talked about it a little bit with goal setting and so forth in the past, and different categories of life, and it's meant so much to me over the years, and I've always, like probably all of you, if you've ever thought about that topic, which I'm sure you have, it's something I always had goals in, you know, like I wanted to have more life balance, and I was always thinking of it, even though I knew there was a spiritual component and a mental component to life balance, and spending time in those areas, and even the mind and how you feel, you know, I was always thinking of it from a perspective of, and I've talked about it before, of categories, you know, almost like on a pie chart, you know, in percentages of time outside, or, you know, with your family, or learning, or working, or, you know, taking care of your home, you know, in these categories. And I always thought that in today's modern world, especially the younger generation, it is so technology focused, even a lot of us with our phones and the internet, that we can get very unbalanced and get very indoors, especially young generations who 50% of young people don't even have cars now or want a driver's license. That we can end up with our lives out of balance. And I so have ruminated on that topic for so long, and yet my life is so often out of balance that I thought maybe there should be a book about that topic. I don't think it's even necessarily something new to all parts of the world. I know some cultures on how you treat others and how you honor them, like in the Japanese culture, they have certain things and how you treat your spouse and who you serve tea to first. And I thought, well, that seems more balanced. Maybe there should be a book on this topic. And then last week, as I was sitting here stuck on this topic, not able to fully finish it to where I felt like I had to talk, Father Joe was sharing with us how we, my notes are all screwed up here, I apologize.
You out of balance, Sean?
I'm out of balance. No, how we, balance is really, when you really think about it, true life balance, you know, is in the mind. And here in the land of freedom, you know, where we supposedly have a lot of freedom to do whatever we want in our lives, we can be out of balance. Because, you know, we still, a lot of us have jobs, we have families, you know, people choose to couple, which talk about picking yourself out of balance, you know, trying to have a marriage and make that work, you know. And so there's just a lot of life circumstances. As much as we may have set up a life balance of a pie chart or percentages, we can't, you know, even if we start spending a period of time with the exact percentage that fits our personality and nurtures us the most in each category, you know, things are going to happen. We're not going to be able to stick to that. And so when life is out of balance, how can it stay in balance? And that is how we react to it. And how our mind is handling all of the things going on in our life and how balanced we stay internally. And so when I really had that epiphany as Father Joe was speaking last week, I thought, well, okay, what can we do with balance in our lives? Where is that? Where is the root of that? And then I thought of, you know, the theme of the door closing and another one opening, and then that being the key. I thought of Christ at that door and that painting that we all know. And you know, I mentioned it to my mother, and she's like, you know, there's no handle on that door. Did you ever notice that? And the artist, when he was asked about that after he painted the painting, you know, everybody was raving about how wonderful and inspiring it was. A friend of his asked him, "Dude, you know, you forgot something on that painting." And the artist said no, and his friend said it was the handle that was missing, and the friend said, and he said to his friend, "No, I didn't forget the handle. The handle's on the inside. You have to let Christ in. You have to open the door yourself." And so, with that in mind, I thought of what Father Joe had said about the teacher last week, who, you know, in that impoverished community had inspired so many people. They really was, according to the study they did, and their expectations were, it really had very little hope. And the one teacher was able to, almost 99% of those kids, you know, that they had studied 25 years later were really successful because of one person who said that they had loved all of those kids. And that story reminded me of another person who had done something similar. Jeffrey, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jeffrey Canada. He started the Harlan Children's Zone. And he had grown up in the Bronx in New York in a very poor background and struggled. And he had made it in life and been very successful. Part of it was because his grandparents had moved to a suburb and he got a better school system. But he wanted to give back to his community. And he wanted to inspire others and help make a difference in his community. And, you know, in African American communities that have a predominantly African American school, there's so often a lag in the performance of the kids and their testing compared to a wealthier suburb. And one of the things that when he was trying to figure out how to focus his money to help people in the communities he grew up in the disadvantaged communities, they realized that one of the things that happens is that kids, that if you can put social service money into a population of people, that within the adult community, there's only a certain percentage of it lifting people out of poverty. Often it will keep maintaining them. But if you put that money into children, that they will lift themselves out of poverty. And they realized that in a low-income district or a demographic, there is so many more negatives they found in studies by the time somebody's 5 years old that they hear, versus in a more affluent community, they found that they don't hear, like the percentages were pretty extreme by the time they're 5 years old, how many negatives they hear versus positives. And so part of this program was to not only put social service money into better education and helping the children, but also a program to teach the parents how to parent in a way where they're not yelling at the children or telling them no. And the program has been hugely, hugely successful. And so, with all of that in mind, I thought about that teacher that Joe had talked about, and it made me think of that program. And then it made me also reflect on a service that I once went to for somebody that was beloved to our family, but not related to me. And the minister who was doing the service said that he had not met the deceased, and that in preparing for the service and trying to get to know them and meeting with their family and close friends, that they were just so inspired by all of these people and how wonderful they were and how much they loved this person and how much they were inspired by this person. And he shared with them that he could see that their soul and personality lived on through the people that had been inspired by them. And so that made me think of what does inspire a person, and going back to where I started with all of this. And I realized, you know, what is your legacy? What is our legacy, you know, to ourselves and to others? And when we have balance in our mind, and we're able to react in a way that is inspiring to others, it manifests a legacy for ourselves, you know, because every day we're inspiring people. I'm sure, at least for myself, and I'm sure for all of you, we've had instances where you had no idea you inspired somebody. And they come back to you weeks, months, years later and talk about what a difference you made. I know for myself and for my mother both, when we both had this weird coincidence, but maybe not so weird, when we both started going to unity churches. My mother had people at work kept asking her, because she'd worked in the same place for 15 years, what changed in her life? And where was she going to church? She wasn't evangelizing or trying to promote anything. It was just a lot of the values that are here inspired other people and made them want to seek out something similar in their lives. And for me, in my job I had that I'd been at for a year, my boss also noticed a change and wanted to know what I was doing. And when I shared that I'd been masterminding going to this church, he wanted me to bring masterminding to my office, which I shared to you before. I had to rewrite masterminding to not have all the spiritual components in there, so it would be neutral for a business environment. But when there was a psychiatrist in World War II who was working in one of the concentration camps, and his last name was Merkel, and he wrote neuropathway therapy. And he had said when he was there that he could tell, watching and observing all the people that were interned, that should they ever be released, which ones would be able to move on with their lives and heal, and which ones were ruined. And he said you can take everything away from somebody, but one thing, and that is how they react to it all. And so today, I had a few things happen this morning. That my roommate has a new puppy, and it's very tenacious. And I took it out for a walk this morning and ran off, which he likes to do. So talking about breaking through to the other side, it was in the neighbor's yard. But I started thinking I was going to have to call and said, I'm not going to make it. I can't find this dog. And then I finally got the dog, got it in, and then it started choking on something it found in the neighbor's yard. And I was like, oh no, now I want to go to the vet. But no, we were okay. But then I stopped at the gas station to get gas on the way here, and I asked for $5, and the guy gave me, I gave him a 20, he gave me 10 back. And I said, oh, I asked for 5, and he got really upset, blew up on me. That I said 5, and I said 10. And I realized I really should put 10 in anyway. So, I said, it's okay, don't worry about it, and I just went out and I thought, yeah, I really needed $10 more anyway. I thought maybe it's complicated for him to back out whatever he put in or whatever. He deals with other people all day long. I know I said 10, but it didn't bother me, and I thought, well, thank God that I don't get upset and let this, because it's controlling how we're reacting to things and staying balanced, because it's so easy. I think we've all been in those situations where we go somewhere and someone is rude to us or does something, and it ruins our day, or it impacts us or makes us react back. But really our power to stay balanced and to stay healthy and be an inspiration to others is to stay calm and balanced. And I know in today's era of things being so charged, it's hard to stay balanced sometimes. But the more we're balanced, the more we can inspire other people. And that's our gift. I had a friend say to me this week that her mother always said to her that God gives you gifts, everyone gifts. And it's your job to find your gifts and share them with others. And then I read this meme on Facebook that was by Jay Dancy that said, your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card, how you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. And so I started with, a pie chart of categories and what I wanted to talk about today, and then I moved into what really that means, to be balanced. And then I really realized, why would we want to be balanced? And what is the purpose? What was Christ's message to us? And what was he doing? How do we view him? He was a teacher for most of us, and we use his lessons to grow and to learn. And he said that there's nothing I'm doing that you can't do. And I realize as we grow spiritually, the way we react to things and the way we try to stay balanced is our opportunity to be greater inspiration to those that are around us. So I hope that we can all have our trademark the inspiration for ourselves